Hey, this is Carla from the Butcher Babies.
This is George Corpse Runner Fisher from Cannibal Corpse.
Hey, this is Rex from Kill Devil Hill. It's Wednesday 13.
This is Daz from Devil Driving.
This is Motorist from Quad. You're listening to Rabid Noise
on Rabid Radio.
Turn it up.
Hey, Greg, how you going, man?
Everything's good, man. I'm in London. Just started playing this new Deftones song, since I haven't heard yet. Just trying to see how that is. Have you heard it? Have you listened to it?
Nah, man, it popped up in my news feed this morning and fanged it to work, so I haven't had a chance yet, but I'm hanging to hear it. Is it good?
Yeah, I have no idea. I'm like 25 seconds in, so I'll check it out when we get off the phone.
Oh, man.
I mean, we have the same. He's obviously we're friends, and he hasn't played me a fucking thing, man. Like they've been like super fucking, tight with the record. So I'm really, really curious to hear it because they've been working on it for so long. You know?
Gore, is it? That's what it's called, eh?
Yeah. But anyhow, sorry, I'm gonna get off on a tangent here.
Oh no, it's all good. I like Deftones, so I'm eager to hear it too. Yeah. So of course, you've just released the Black Queen Fever Daydream, man. Well, that's such a killer album, man. It really took me by surprise. Like, I wasn't sure what to expect when I was going into it, but
right.
It's amazing, man. I really, really dig it. It's something different. You know, it must have been pretty exciting for you guys when you first found, the direction of the sound.
Well, yeah, we were really, there were so many little pieces that were coming together. Originally, like, I had started working on some stuff back in, 2007 almost. And then in 2010, Steve and I got together and started combining some stuff that some of that stuff with some stuff that Steve was working on. And then a year later, we met Josh, and then, things took a turn in a way more electronic direction. And it just kept on, we just kept on kind of organically working on it because we all live in the same city, and we were just hanging out and working on things and throwing songs out. We probably threw 4 or 5 full songs out before we really hit our stride. And I mean full, mixed, finished, done, album ready song that we just threw in the garbage. And the first one that we really hit where we were like, okay, this doesn't sound like anybody else. This sounds like what we were all excited by was this song called Maybe We Should on the record. And once we were in the car, kind of listening to the mix of that song, and that song is like a modification of 4 or 5 other things that were kind of combined to make that. So when we figured out that song, we also kind of figured out how we write too, which is kind of an endless process of revisioning until something starts to reveal itself. But that was the template for everything. So once we had that, we were in a good place. So that was fucking before the last Dillinger records came out. So Maybe We Should was done in January of 2013. So we've been working on this for a long time now.
It sounds like you've put a lot of work into it from the get-go. It's not I guess, going in with guitars and drums and stuff like that. You're creating a world. So, as you said, you threw out 5 songs before you, were they similar in style? Or was it completely different from what you were
No, I mean, some of them had a lot of guitars. Some of them had a ton of guitars out in them, actual things riffs and just really different. We really went, some of it was kind of My Bloody Valentine, shoegazy, and we were just kind of all over the place until we started to find our common ground. And once we did, like I said, we were just all so excited by it, and that's when we knew that we had to keep going. And I mean, I had no idea it was going to take 3 more years at that point to. Yeah, I think we all thought that this was going to come out in early 2014, and then it just kept on going and going and going and going and going. And I'm glad that it did, because some of the songs changed so drastically. We would finish a song, and then we would remove everything except for the vocals, and then we would write all new music, and then we would be like, shit, now we don't like the vocals, so we'd remove the vocals and then write all new vocals, so you'd end up kind of taking a song and gutting it so completely and restructuring it so drastically and redressing it so drastically that the end result is nothing like the original thing that you started working on, which is actually a really cool process. It's like so much more of a evolving, organism than like just being like, here's the riff, here's the vocal, like you do in like a rock band context. This is more of like every song is like this endless mutation of itself until you decide to stop, which is more or less what happens. You just have to say, okay, we're stopping now. We can't keep going.
With that though, because it's not you've said it's not a side project, right? It's like a fully functioning,
No, I mean, I spent more time doing this than I have doing anything else. I mean, I do this we hang out all the time. We lived together for 2 years, this is like my life. That's what I'm doing. That's what I do with my life every day is work on Black Lean for like the last 4 years. And then Dillinger Escape Plan is like my job that I go to.
That's crazy, man. Do you think that, moving forward now that you guys have sort of found your sound that it'll be easier for you to write? Or do you think, you're just going to completely start from scratch and try something new?
I think we have a lot easier of a time. We will have an easier time because we know what our strengths and weaknesses are. A lot of the early going is like just kind of figuring out what you're good at in the context of being in a whole new group of people. Because, you're in Dillinger, I know exactly what I'm good at and what I'm not. I know exactly what Ben's good at and what I'm not. So we know how to like fill in each other's gaps. We know where the other person's strengths and weaknesses are, so you know how to support them. And then when you're in a whole nother situation, your strengths and weaknesses change because something that may have been a strength before isn't even something that's necessary in this conversation. So if you're really good at screaming at people and you're trying to have a quiet conversation, the ability to scream at people is fucking worthless, So like you have to like completely figure out, and in that process you have to swallow a lot of ego because you might think that you're really good at something, and then when you're surrounded by 2 other people, that might actually be your weakness suddenly. So you have to learn how to kind of converse with each other and rebuild your role in the band, and that takes a really long. That's the longest part, man. It's just fucking learning your role, figuring everyone else's role out, learning how to not insult other people, how to not take offense to things yourself, and then that way you can collaborate and create productively without trying to hold on to ideas or roles that are self-defeating. It took us, like I said, a while. Even after we wrote Maybe We Should, I would say that we didn't even get to the point of like where we were totally confident and comfortable in our roles until probably like mid-2014.
Wow, man. Have you been jamming on the stuff? Like, you said you live together. Do you have like a little jam room at your house where you just all get together and sort of, are you preparing to translate it live?
Yeah, we played live last Friday.
Okay.
In LA, and we play tomorrow night. We play tomorrow night in London, which is where I am now. And yeah, it was great, man. We had never actually played this stuff live, and we had obviously we wrote it all and recorded it all, but that's such a different process. And when it came time to do it live, I didn't know really whether it was how difficult it was going to be, and it turned out to work pretty smoothly, man. It was we rehearsed for like one or 2 weeks, and then played a show, and it went over better than I could have imagined. So suddenly it's like, we're not just a record, we're a band, I guess.
That's awesome, man. Because I actually didn't realize that you're actually on tour now with it. I thought you were on tour with Dillinger.
Yeah,
so sorry, man.
Airbnb in London right now, man.
That's amazing,
like
man.
Midnight break.
Do you think you'll be coming down here?
I would love to, man. I truly had no idea what to expect by it. Obviously, I thought that there was going to be a bunch of Dillinger Escape Plan fans who would be like, "Fuck this," you know what I mean? I don't want to hear this shit. I want Greg to like yell and scream at me and jump off a balcony or something, which is all still fun, but like I had no idea what what was going to happen, and the response to this since we've started releasing it has just been really overwhelming, like on a daily basis. So like where it like really makes me feel a lot of pride in knowing that we really stuck by this for years and years and years. Like we were working on this for so long behind the scenes, living together, and like like every day working on this since like 2012, 2011, and without saying anything in public. So this has been like this massive part of our lives behind the scenes for years without anybody knowing. So for it to come out and, you know, for us to be getting the reception that we're getting, it just feels like it's a different feeling, man, honestly, because you don't get many chances in life to be this precious with something. You know, it would be impossible for me to do this again, I think, on the level of just preciousness that we treated this with, you know, and the amount of time that we took, and the amount of, like, not this became indistinguishable from our personal lives. It stopped becoming like a record that we were working on. It just started to become like our actual all-day, everyday life when I wasn't on tour. So, you know, for this to come out and people to be into it, I want to go wherever people want to see us, man. There's enough people in Australia for us to come down there and play. I would love to.
I think it's definitely an album that's going to cross a lot of bridges, man, for a lot of people, because it's not, you know, because you got your Dillinger fans, and then I think there's going to be some people that you know, lean towards the more mainstreamy sort of stuff that'll be taken in by it as well. So it's quite clever. As I said, like, I didn't know what to expect. You know, I love stuff like Nine Inch Nails and, you know, bands like that. But you know, going into it, it was slightly different than what I thought it would be, and that's what I liked so much about it, was that it's hard to be surprised these days.
It's the cool thing for me has been the amount of people that are kind of finding out about it that aren't Dillinger Escape Plan fans. Like, that's obviously, you know, going into it, what I thought was going to be the biggest challenge was how do we get this out of like the I don't want to be in an echo chamber. You know, I don't want to just be like a Dillinger Escape Plan side project. So I was aware that because of the size and the amount of time that Dillinger Escape Plan has been around, that it would be a little tough to like get out of the shadow of it. But it really hasn't been that tough, man. It's crazy how many people have, like, you know, kind of hit us up or been in contact that just have nothing to do with that world, you know, whatsoever. So that just makes me feel good about it's feel good about my artistic intuition to know that we, you know, did something that we believed in and it's resonating with people outside of just our existing fan bases.
That's awesome, man. Because not many bands get that chance. Or they do try, and it doesn't turn out, you know, as
I'm really lucky, man. I'm really lucky.
Yeah, you've definitely kicked a goal, man. That's so
grateful.
Good. Yeah, man, and I'm looking forward to more. I've been cruising around, man. Like, when I got it, I chucked it in the car and went for a drive at night, man, and just tried to absorb it, and it worked. It's awesome. So keep doing it, man.
That's cool, man.
I have to hear.
That's like the ideal place to listen. It's just driving through the town, driving around at nighttime. You know, that's one of my favorite times to listen to music is just driving around at night.
No one around, man. No one around on the streets. No one. You just can just absorb it, man. And
yeah, your brain can kind of just start to wander.
Oh, it's so good.
Cool.
It's one of my favorite things to do. Thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us. Again, man, it was great catching up, and we're going to go to the track Distance, and that's my favourite track off the album. Love it.
Hey guys, just want to take a minute to give a shout out to our podcast supporters, RW Promotion, who are the best in the business when it comes to printing posters, flyers, banners, badges, business cards, you name it. They've got what it takes to help you get everything you need to help spread the word about your band or business, and with a blistering turnaround, they'll make sure you get your product ASAP. So get in touch with Richard and the team at www.rwpromotion.com.au or shoot them an email at info@rwpromotion.com.au. Also want to give a shout out to the guys at Blacklight Art and Design, who in my opinion are the Gold Coast best screen printers. So, you know, we've gotten many band shirts and even our own Rabid Noise shirts done through these guys, and they've also got one of the fastest turnarounds I've ever seen. So all quality prints at competitive prices. So whether it's band merchandise, sporting teams, promotional garments or workwear, you know, they've got you covered. So hit them up at www.blacklightad.com.au or email them at info@blacklightad.com.au. So big thanks to those guys. guys, for helping us to bring you this podcast each and every week, and for, of course,